D.
Hello.
Hello. And we're back. It's been so long.
It has.
It has. Yeah. I think, it was because it was the last time you were here with Adam.
Yeah.
Is when I decided to grow a beard.
Wow, and your beard's pretty long.
And, well, I push a lot. Drinking a lot of that beard oil. It's good.
Yeah, that's the way.
That's the magic. All right. Here we go. Episode 46. 46.
Holy moly.
I know. Of the Welcome to Cooperville podcast. And you were what? I think were you the first guest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
First guest and the 20-something guest and the 46th guest. Man, you have a revolving spot.
Good numbers.
It's like, you remember Chelsea Lately? Did you ever watch Chelsea Lately? The Chelsea Handler show?
I have.
Back when it was on TV? The revolving
What's that?
Panel of...
TV?
Yeah, TV. It's this thing that the kids used to watch, and you had to watch it at a certain time before you could just watch it whenever, wherever, pause it, come back to it.
Could pause it? Oh, yeah, that was that TiVo.
TiVo. Not to be confused with the other thing that's gone out of fashion, Tybo. It's different, kids, you see. I bring that, the reason that popped into my head apparently is because I had that conversation with my child this morning because he was in the middle of watching something on YouTube that was much more valuable than putting his pants on and getting ready to go to school.
I get that.
And he's like, but I'm watching this. I'm like, you live in this generation that does not know what watching something and then having to leave that situation truly feels like. Because you don't get that back.
No.
It aired once. And then you got to wait 15 years before they started running it in rotation. You know, they started running it on the network, and you had to wait till episode 46 of Cheers to come back on so you could find out what happened to Norm.
Right. And then you got the DVD collection.
Yes, you had to buy it on DVD.
Yeah,
which is a thing.
It was. I mean, it's still a thing. Yeah,
but that's also going out of fashion because now if you want to watch a movie, as soon as I think sometimes it actually hits. I would say the movie store, is that a thing? Like the place where they Blockbuster? Is that still a no? That's not a thing anymore. Now you could just wait as soon as it would come out on DVD, and you could go purchase it somewhere or rent it from Redbox. You can just pull up your...
They're making a killing on that because I wanted to watch... I don't remember. Well, all the movies.
When
I finally sit down and I'm like, I'm going to watch a movie tonight. Oh, look at that. The Joker. Oh, but I got to buy it for $21.99. Bloop. Buy it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Take my money.
Yep. Yeah, because it's an option. Before it was never an option. Not that, I just like blowing money, but I do the whole, self-rationalization where it's like, well, I mean, I've been working hard. I deserve that, right? I'm not going to the bar. So, I'd buy that, in in Wisconsin, it's 8-10 rounds.
Yeah. For me and my friend.
Right.
It'd be fine. Yeah, that's a good rationalization. That's a way to Wisconsinize it right there. This is actually 4 beers, so I feel like I'm making a better life choice. Do we have any beer in the fridge, by the way?
Right.
I feel like if I buy it at a C-store that I'm saving money. Phil Norvold, to get to your introduction. Max Built Off-Road, Legends Marketing, Epic Willie's Adventure. Did I miss anything? There's got to be something else.
Well, not currently.
Encourager of others to grow epic beards.
Right. Yep.
That's where it started. It was almost a year ago. Now, a little less than a year ago, and you were on with Adam, shop manager extraordinaire, fine connoisseur of the beard. That's when this whole episode or this whole lifestyle change for me started, and that led into what's been a crazy year of, I have an idea. Now that I have a beard,
right,
let's start a beard oil company.
Right.
So I have you to thank.
It's the entrepreneur mindset, I think. It's the sickness. Oh, I have an idea. Damn it. I know that the only way to make this work is to do more work. Well, fuck it.
I could be at the bar buying beer.
Right.
This seems like a better investment of my money.
Right.
And life.
Let's just go crazy.
Did you like sleep? I don't like sleep.
Right.
But it's but a lot's been going on since the last episode we had you on.
Yeah.
Is it technically show season? I know you were just
it's getting
did a couple
there.
Of things.
I mean, it's been what used to be show season is now every day.
Every day is a show.
Yeah. Well, it's been. I know we talked too back in last fall. I was going to get on here after I did that whole 75 hard challenge.
Yeah.
Which
Andy Frisilla. Yeah.
Whew, that was good, but that was tough. it's funny though. You do something like that, and you think when you get to the other side of it, it's like, oh, maybe I have to do that again, or when am I gonna budget that time again to kind of make that stuff happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was it was just a few simple things: drink a gallon of water every day, work out twice a day, 45 minutes minimum each time. One of them had to be outside. I chose to do that in the fall so it wasn't frigid. I know you're crazy and you still go for runs every morning.
Well, I still do, but it has led to injury.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, dislocated finger, severely bruised. Like both of my hands were just screwed. Yeah, I took it to the mouth on the concrete, and that was fun. And it was weird. That was like the weirdest thing because I would usually run really early.
Yeah.
That particularly was a day that I had. It was just me and my kid, so I felt like I probably shouldn't leave the house while he was here sleeping. Just, I don't know, some weird parental thing.
Yeah, it's a weird instinct.
Like, he'd probably not even notice. But so I dropped him off at school and then went running. And obviously there's much more traffic at 8:30 in the morning than there is at 4.
Right.
So I had stopped at a four-way intersection on the sidewalk, and there was a couple cars, and one waved me across, and the other one from the other side started to come. So I kind of stopped. So I really wasn't focused. Usually when you run in winter, you're super focused on where your feet are landing. Your core is super engaged because you know that, especially in the dark, you can't really see where your foot's planting on.
Your senses are heightened.
Yes. When you're trying to like think, man, if this car hits me at this speed, it probably won't hurt a lot, but it would really bum me out. Like that would really ruin the day. Like I get hit by a car. What? That'd be a great story. All these things are running through your mind, which they shouldn't. Right. And then I got to the other side of the sidewalk, which hadn't been salted, and my legs went one way, my hands went. It was not good. But yeah, running in the elements and doing things in the elements in the winter. And I have another friend that's Dan Beck, who's doing 75 hard right now, and he went through the Arctic tundra that we had a couple of weeks ago with the 40 below wind chills. But when you come out on the end of something like that, I think you're right. You kind of go through that, wow, like I can't believe we stuck to it, because that's a big thing. I'm sure there were points along that traveled road you were like,
oh yeah,
if we just have a little bit of sugar and we just have
maybe a beer. I mean, a beer would be really nice right now.
Because you can't drink.
No alcohol.
Can't drink for that. Right. And, I'm sure the numbers were down for our friend over in Osseo, Sean, over at Northwoods, and the Walters franchise was felt that over
there was a little bit of
2+ months.
A dip, yeah.
But when you come out on the other side of going through something that has a beginning and an end, and you go, yeah, we got through it. Yeah, there is kind of a moment of,
I wonder if I could do that in winter.
Yeah, could I do that in winter?
Yeah.
Should I do it again? Right. Is there like a next level? Like I accomplished that. Could I do something else? Or you can go, well, I did that. I'm good.
Yep.
It reminds
me. That's not us. That's that entrepreneurial sickness.
No, you know what that is? That's minivan gal that has 26.2 like in a sticker because one time she ran a marathon once.
Yes.
And that's like, okay, I've got good. I'm fucking done. I'm going back to, whatever lifestyle I was into. But I accomplished that. But that was a big thing. I was witnessing from afar you go through that, and I was like, man, that's awesome. Fucking get after it. I mean, you've been in my bathroom. You've seen I've posted notes all over with all these motivational things. You come out feeling all jacked up. You're like, God damn, let's go do something. But then you're like, yeah, we can't drink for 75 days. I'm like, my hypocrisy goes only so far. Like, there's a lot. Like, I'll get up at 4. I'll go run 5, 6, 7 miles, but I'm probably going to have a beer at the end of the day.
Yep.
That's just me. That's what I call balance.
Well, no, that's a huge part of all of these things.
But that's an accomplishment, though, man. That shit's legit. It'll change you.
It was fun. It was fun. It was something to do, something to try. I mean, again, like everything, all this stuff's pushing that. Like, how much can we physically take? And you could take a lot, whether it's physical, mental, any of it. Back to that whole. So that was ended that beginning of November, and then of course the SEMA show was a big thing for us on the Max Built Off-Road side. Built a really awesome 89 Grand Wagoneer. We did the whole thing, all woody wagon, had a wood cedar strip canoe on the top, had it displayed. Everybody went nuts. That was fantastic. But then it was like, usually that's our end. And then it was fly out for corporate meetings with Advance to talk about how we can continue to build the TechNet Nation brand, which, we've been kind of, that was that whole deciding factor to kind of formulate Legends marketing to so that MaxBuilt doesn't lose its identity while it helps another company find theirs. But again, like find ways to humanize a brand, showcase what we've learned and what we've seen work in our world, but then, give back, find ways to help other shops like ours and ones that aren't like ours. We're obviously a niche market shop, but a lot of there's thousands and thousands and thousands of shops out there that, just oil changes, brake jobs, tire shops. Everybody's got a specialty, and some of their specialties is all of it. And, finding a way to get all of those shops together in this TechNet Nation to give independent shops voice and a platform to be able to give some of the bigger corporate run shop centers a run for their money. We can now offer roadside assistance, nationwide warranty. You have something done at my shop. There's 12,000 other TechNet shops across the country that if there was a problem with the way that we did something, one of the other shops can help pick up the slack at no cost to the consumer. It's a really cool thing. And like at the core of it is, I think, the beliefs in the local, help local businesses just do better. And I think it was here that one of our taglines for the company was talked about, think locally, act globally. And that's truly the kind of direction that we've taken that to run with. And since then we've also been, approached by other companies wanting to, what's this all about? Well, it's really just common sense, but let me throw it down for you. So that was, after SEMA, it was meetings for that, and doing some tours of some shops in Florida in December, which was a great getaway. But then at Christmas, in the meantime, we went through a huge shop renovation. Redid everything at our shop as far as like office space. I hadn't had a shop or an office for about 3 years. I was just doing all of my.
You just kind of lingered. Every time I was there, you were just kind of hovering over somebody else. Like, hey, this is kind of my spot right now. It's where I'm going to hang.
Yep. So that's been killer. Turned out awesome. Rough cut lumber all around. Kind of the environment now matches the characteristics of the people that work there. And that was a big load off my shoulders because it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. So that was nice to be able to start 2020 kind of fresh that way.
Yeah.
And then to your question about, is it show season? Yes. Usually Moab's Easter Jeep Safari is kind of our show kickoff season, where we kind of debut new product, or another big on our manufacturing side. It was during the shop remodel was increasing efficiencies in the shop, right? Just we can make money, but I think we can make more, and rather than just jack prices up, let's make sure we're doing our shit right. So that it's not just a big mess. So that was a big thing. So we didn't spend as much time necessarily R&Ding new products. We've got some things down the pipe, but Moab's going to be another time when we just kind of hang out with everybody, meet up with some people. We're going to do a lot more, I think, kind of entertaining and some more shop event stuff. We've got some things. A cool contest out there. St. Dane's Cabins, one of my buddies out there, has a kind of a, if you're an enthusiast, you have an opportunity to win a trip to Moab, a place to stay, hang out with other businesses like mine. We can kind of show you the ropes. So I'm looking forward to that too. Give back to kind of the dude that, the hope is the guy or gal that wins. It's the one who's like, man, I never win anything. This isn't, but this was an opportunity of a lifetime, and I want to be involved in things like that. And so we're looking forward to Moab and all of that brings. I was also very fortunate to be able to attend the King of the Hammers race a couple of weeks ago. A friend of mine bought an Ultra 4 car. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up Ultra 4 King of the Hammers. There's plenty of videos. It's the nastiest, hardest 24-hour event in the world. It's not a 24-hour race. It's a 14-hour capped race. But for a one-day event, I want to say there was 110, call it, racers signed up, and I think 42 finished.
Wow.
So, buddy of mine, awesome client, bought a race car last fall, race Jeep, buggy, whatever, and asked if I could help, organize a pit crew. And, there's 3 separate pits. So it was a lot of work, but it was something that I usually don't go to because February is a time when I try to spend with the fam.
Right.
Because I know show season gets crazy, but at the same time, it was like, man, I got to do this. And it was fucking, well, it was wild. It was so cool.
I saw some of the footage. Patrick Peterson,
yes,
our buddy, getting into it. And that's, when you talk about work-life balance, it's something that's thrown out a lot. And I think, it's so different in business owner, entrepreneurial mindset individual than it is in someone who's working like the 8 to 5 or the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, maybe occasional weekend gig or somebody that has like a consistent employment with somebody else. Cause usually you have your schedule is kind of set. Like, okay, I know I have 40 hours a week, maybe some overtime or event. If you're in the corporate world, maybe that's a little bit longer. You can work later. But when you're in a world where you are the boss, you're in control of your time management and where you focus your efforts. When opportunities come up, do you take them? I mean, that's a prime example of King of the Hammers is saying, something like, hey, can you come and help me out with this? And you kind of got to struggle with that. Well, winter's kind of not it's hibernation season, but there's less going on.
Right.
And I usually am home getting that quality time with the family when spring, summer hits and you guys are crazy busy. How do you manage that? Cause obviously we're friends off the mic.
Yep.
But there's a real struggle with making sure that you find that time. Cause I think especially, and maybe, having gone through this, when you started your business, when it was in its infancy, and I think you still have that mindset to this day, is you just want more. Like and even when you're, that you've put in 60, 80, 100 hours a week working on your business or your businesses or everything that's involved with it, because you're in control of everything. You're in control of the marketing, you're in control of the product. That when you sit down, you go, fuck, I shouldn't be sitting down.
Right.
I should not be taking this time to enjoy a television show, watch a game, play Xbox with my kid, go do this. Cause you always feel like the next thing that you do is gonna be the thing that busts it open.
Right.
The next post you make, the next ad you promote, the next idea you come up with for a new product or an event you want to attach yourself with, you're like, damn, that's the one. If I would have taken that, even if it's 15 minutes, half hour, an hour, 2 hours, you go, shit, I missed that. So where do you find, is there, I don't want to say a magic formula, but is there a way that you can make that balance work for everybody? Because it can't be a perfect science.
No, but at the same time, like those that know me know that like I'm all over the board. It used to just be chaos. I think now it's calculated chaos. Like the one home is the like the centering thing. It's something that I, even growing up, my mom did a great job of like creating a space where it was okay to just exist.
Right.
And I'm like my schedule is, I get up, my alarm goes off at 3:50. I spend 45 minutes answering emails, connecting on social. And some people, there's a lot of different schools of thought on that. That's what works for me. Mm-hmm. It's a time where, can wake my body up, can wake my mind up, kind of go through the things that in turn kind of like puts together my list for the day. But then as soon as I'm out of bed, I'm out the door. Because if I'm out the door, I'm working. I am, and out the door for me it's 2 hours at the gym, but that's it's like it's to get my mind right for the day.
Yep.
There's a big element, and I guess it was a byproduct. I didn't go into it thinking like, if I go to the gym and I get a workout in, then like I've accomplished something. But the byproduct of doing that because I just wanted to not feel like shit every day.
Right.
Was, oh, fuck yeah, I'm ready to, like, by the time the rest of the world's like getting up,
Mm-hmm.
I am ready to start tackling. I'm driven by challenges. Give me a problem, I'll find you a solution. Like, and then finding ways to, like, help other people come to that same conclusion, so that it's not necessarily me giving an answer. Like, I want the involvement from whether it's my team or teams or just people. And then it's the day to day. You're getting to the shop, you're spending the time, you're doing the emails, you're filling the day up with all of these different things that you want to do. And sometimes at 5:00 when the rest of the shop leaves, I'm tying up a couple of loose ends, or I'm starting another whatever in the shop. Obviously Epic Willie's Adventures coming up, so then there's at least a dedicated night each week to that. Spring kind of then also rolls into a dedicated night for community involvement for Max Built and the off-road stuff, whether it's a Jeep meet and greet type thing. We usually do every Tuesday nights. But where I'm getting with that is, but when I go home, I'm home.
Yeah,
I'm home. I may be home sitting in a recliner, and reflecting, and sometimes, rarely, like even last night, I was going to finish up a video that I've been trying to get out from my time at Hammers, but I got home and it was like, fuck it. Nope. I'd rather just, talk to the kiddos, get them ready for bed, chat with Heather, who she's kind of created that safe place for me. Everything's taken care of. When I'm home, I get to be home. Sure, if I'm home and I have a lot of weekends that are free, yeah, I find projects to do, because otherwise I would just exist. But I think that's how I recharge, just being there when I can be there.
Yeah.
But I think in like 2 weeks from today, I'll be in Kansas City for a week. I'm home for 2 weeks. I'm out to Moab for a week and a half. I'm back from Moab. And then it's every other week I'm gone.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like the whole make hay when the sun shines. We have a lot of things, like I'd like your help. You've got your beard oil brand going, and
as you can see, what originally started as the Welcome to Cooperville Podcast Studio headquarters, HQ, which is really a room in my basement, has grown from that into the shipping and receiving, fulfillment, inventory, product dev of Captain Coop's Beard Co. And everything just kind of fits into my space, you know, and that's where, where my struggle fits in to what you're talking about, is that this is not only my home, this is my, where my business operates out of. I know a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, is computer, is phone, as far as the marketing goes and communication goes. And, obviously the podcasting goes. I picked up, a podcast for Rockfest, and, so this is like not only my sanctuary, my safe place, to be home, but it's also the place where I need to, I work out. If I'm not running and I'm down here working out, it's my everything. It's my gym.
You do everything here.
Everything is done in the confines of the house. So that's where, my struggles with work-life balance come in, because if there's, because I have the capabilities, and a lot of people, not a lot of people, but people think that you own your own business and you can work from home and you don't have the stressors of having to get up and get ready and look presentable. And it's exactly the opposite. I do all those things. I get up early, I get my workout in, I get my marketing stuff, set for the day for social. I get cleaned up, I take a cold shower, I am dressed and ready to go for the day, whatever that day happens to be, before anybody else is up, so before 7:00, 4 hours into the day, ready to take it on. But then I'm here. And so the struggle comes when a project or something immediate needs my attention, or a big order comes in, or, shit, I need to get out and get, product dropped off, or I wanted to make sure I hit these shops, this week to see if they want to bring us in as part of their retail. The line gets a lot more fuzzy between like, okay, this is my home. This is where I can take that 20 minutes or hour and sit down and relax, enjoy time with the kid, you know, kind of be present in that world, because my worlds are, it's a big clusterfuck universe, some sort of Star Wars, like triple planet, you know,
right.
More, I got, you know, Darth Vader's head sitting on the desk here, just as a reminder of, I live in Star Wars. But I think, you know, there was a time I was going after, you know, a space, a retail production space. You saw it.
Yep.
And I think we both had, you know, given that entrepreneurial mindset that we both have, googly eyes over, wow, this is an amazing place. It's an amazing building. Then the reality part of it kind of sets in, you go, man, this, you know, if I want not just this company, but future companies or companies that I'm working on or working with to be successful, that undertaking is way too much. Now that's kind of gone into a different direction.
And that happens.
But to have a space to be is, I haven't quite figured out yet if that's the blessing or the curse. You know, would it be like, okay, awesome, I have a space I can go and be, and I know that I'm there and I'm focused. But it's obviously there's convenience of being here. I can drop my kid off at school. I can pick him up from school. If there's he joined tennis, like unbeknownst to anybody. He's like, oh, by the way, I'm in tennis on Tuesdays and Wednesdays starting in March. I'm like,
good.
Do you need a racket? Like,
right. What does that mean? Right.
Have you watched any John McEnroe? Just want to make sure that, you know, when you're going in, you're going in hard. But so there's a real struggle with work-life balance, I think, and you know, I think it compares to what you go through in the spring and summer, because you're just gone. See that, you know, it's not even an option for you. Where, you know, my struggle is like, I'm here, but right. I'm not present, and that's, you know, that's a day to day.
No, and that, like, I would say I struggled with that a lot more, like earlier on. You know, I've been always had like the crazy ideas and whatnot, but you know, when I kind of took a plunge in 2008, like I dealt probably a lot more with the, like, at the end of the day, if there's a job to do, it's got to get done, right? I got a fucking killer team now.
Yeah.
Everybody that's there plays a part in it. Sometimes I can snag them for some other crazy wild idea to test out to see if it's something that I got to pour more time into or not. Sometimes, you know, sometimes you just got to let it be and table it until later, or until it formalizes much like your space. Like, I think that I saw it, I fell in love with it. It was fucking killer, but I agree, like, at some point you need to be able to say, and we have a sign hanging above the door, and this goes back to, you know, my wife making sure that space is that space where I can be present. Mm-hmm. But the sign, as I see it when I walk outside, she painted the walls the other day, so she took it down. But I'm sure it'll go back up. But let whatever you do today be enough. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's hard for me, like, because it's never enough. What's next?
Right.
And, like, don't get me wrong. When I'm sitting down at home and we're watching a movie and I'm on my phone, I'm not just there to, like, see what the world's doing on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I'm on there to see, like, how are these people engaging with their people, and how can I take what it's. You're always there. You will always be there. It will always be that thought process. But at the same time, like, knowing that to keep sustainability wise, like, there needs to be an element of no. And early on, it's really hard to say no. You want to do this? Yep. You want to do this? Yep. Can you do this? Yep. Can you do that? Yep. But I think there is a turning point at some point when you go, and you get more credibility when can you do this? Nope.
Yeah.
Well, tell me more. Why? Well, because this is what's going to go into that. Mm-hmm. If you want me to go into that with you, this is the type of time commitment that you, person asking this of me, will be. And if they want zero time, then it's more money, right? You know, cheap, fast, or good. You can only pick two. So, right. And whether that's at the shop, whether that's with the marketing, whether that's with, you know, we're dealing with that with Epic Willie's Adventure, which I'm getting super pumped about. But I also know that, like, I feel like we're behind the 8 ball from the standpoint of, we're not where we were 8 months before. Before the last trip, 6 months.
6.
Yeah. But again, it's like, I think that's okay. Mm-hmm. We're doing some things differently this time. We built a raffle Jeep last time. I'm still toying with the idea of doing that again, but I'm also leaning towards maybe not. Maybe we do this without that. We didn't do it the first time. We did it the second time. We don't necessarily need to do it this time. Let's look at working smarter,
right,
not necessarily harder, because at the end of the day, like I was saying, I can't necessarily require my team to volunteer their time for a lifestyle that I've created for myself.
Right.
But if I say that I'm going to build a raffle Jeep, I'm going to make sure that it gets done because that's what you do. You know, if you say you do something, you just do it. Nobody fucking cares. Work harder, right? We've all seen that floating around.
I think you just,
Did I see that?
it's in the bathroom. Yeah. Nobody cares. Work harder.
Yep.
But I think that's, you have to have, if you found your why, I know you've read the book, Find Your Why. If you find that and you know why you do the things you do and the way you do it, and that you have that mentality, because it's all mental. I mean, it's a much easier life to have. I want to say easier. I shouldn't say that. I take that back. I recant. It's more manageable to have a static job that you go to every day that's pretty much the same thing, that you're dealing in the same elements. You kind of know your role. There's not a lot of unexpectedness. You kind of go in, you clock in, you do the thing that you're paid to do, maybe do a little more one day, maybe do a little less one day, and you come home and that's it. That's your job.
But then you have time for tennis.
Then you have time to sign yourself up for tennis. Then you are a 9-year-old who lives in this house.
Right.
But I think when you have a different mindset, or when you develop a different mindset, because I think this is something for me that I found after losing my comfort zone.
Yep.
20 years in one career, in one field. Again, for the most part, went into work, clocked in, knew what I was doing, did it. Some areas did like more, put more effort into. Some areas put less effort into. But when that was gone, that's when like the change happened for me, to be like, okay, no, now I'm like super hardcore driven, maybe to a fault. But when you have that mentality, it almost feels like there is never enough. It feels like sitting down is a waste of time. I hate waiting for things. That was my struggle starting a business. Starting my first business was me being ready and raring to go and having to wait on other things, having to wait for our LLC to go through the state because it had to be filed via paper instead of like the internet, which apparently the state of Wisconsin thinks is just a fad, not going to catch on. Like, just file a paper. I'm sure, whatever. But, waiting on things to get delivered. Our first shipment of packaging that we got was the wrong color. So that, when you have that mentality, like you always want to go and you always want to move forward, and you always want to be doing more things, you do work harder, and you do realize that at some point you get to a point where you go, nobody cares that you're putting in this much work, so keep on working.
Right.
Nobody's going, oh my God, Phil, like you put in 100 hours last week, or oh my man, I can't believe. You'll get small bits of that, like you build a raffle Jeep, or you build the Wagoneer Waggy for SEMA, or you do something incredible. You create a new part. You update the trail tails, and oh my God, they're epic and they can't be destroyed. And we hit them with hammers, we blow them up. Wow, that's really cool. But like you go, yeah, but like that was like 500 hours or 1,000 hours and late nights and early mornings and failures and
nobody sees that.
Nobody sees that.
And nobody cares.
No, because they don't care.
If you do a good job, nobody will care.
Right.
That sounds weird, but it's kind of the truth. Like, also like with a lot of our builds and our projects, it's a nice analogy from the standpoint of, like if we do a good job on a project, that it will look so clean and so nice, and there'll be so many different details that as a package it just looks right. They look at it and they're like, oh hell yeah. But then when you start looking at it, like, oh, all the heads of the bolts were sanded smooth, and whoa, well that definitely took 4 days of like standing in front of a bench grinder.
Yeah.
But the whole package at the end is like, oh cool. And you also, like, I think you and I both, like, we don't need a pat on the back. We don't need, because that's not what we're looking for it for. you said it earlier when you were like, it's something that's it's mental and it's something that you kind of grow into. But it is, and like thinking about why why maybe it's okay to like my sitting time there is more thinking time instead of doing time sometimes, because it's planning on how to get things done. But early on, even you, like I hate waiting for things. Nope. Like if it's not fast enough, I'll just let me fucking do it, or let me find a way to empower people to show them why the sense of urgency is there. But I think that sense of urgency came from the initial, like, I want to start a business. I don't have any money. I know that the harder and faster I work, I have the potential to get money. It's never a guarantee. And like the money never comes as fast as you want it.
Right.
It rarely comes in the way that you think it was going to come. And then, because I do it too, I look at other companies, I'm like, oh, God damn, those guys are killing it. I wish I had it like that. Yep. Well, no, they do the same shit. But then I wish the paperwork was filed faster so that we could do this, so that I could get to making money. And then finally, when you realize that, well, it will all come in time, even like my beard oil brand that a couple years ago, I like started, formalized everything. I have all the formulas, I have the marketing, I have all that stuff done. And then I paused it because I knew that I couldn't do it right. I knew that with all the other things that I had going on in my life, if I'm going to do something, just like the raffle Jeep, like I said before, like if I'm going to do it, I'm going to see it through to the end. If that was what my goal was to know that I could build this brand and have it, but I'm not ready to market it, and I'm not ready to see where it's going to end up because it's not everything that I need it to be right now.
Right.
And then table it, lo and behold, run into you, and you've got your own thing going, and hey, there's a way we can maybe partner together. You've got you've got the guy to maybe help me get some of my ball rolling again with that. But sometimes waiting is better, but that doesn't mean that you're not. It doesn't mean that you're not achieving what you're trying to achieve. And I think that was also like just like being present, just like letting whatever you do today be enough, is knowing that your end goal rarely is what it ends up being. And so whatever pieces that as long as it's constant moving forward, like that's all right. Because at this point in your life, my life, well, what's next? Because I guarantee the next time I do a podcast, you're going to have another idea or either whether it's going to be a new product or a new business thought, because they go through your head. And we haven't even talked about this, but I'm sure that they go through your head every day, all the time. You look at something and, how could I capitalize on that?
Right.
But then it's just fitting that into your bandwidth so that you know that what's going to make the most sense and how can it align with the other things that you're doing.
And that's that mentality. And we've dropped that word a lot, but I think it really is what it's all about, whether it's working out, family time, business, it all is about mindset. It's all about how you approach things. But you talked about like seeing something and coming up with an idea, or idea flashes before your eyes. That happens like incredibly often. Yeah. And
you can do something with those ideas.
That's the biggest change. The biggest change for me is when, just use like the beard oil products for an example, is when nobody ever goes and takes a shower and looks at and thinks about the products that went into their shampoo.
Right.
You don't go, I wonder what, this ingredient happens to be, and how I wonder how this, formulates to create the foam, and how the foam helps cleanse my skin. People don't think that way. They just think about it as I went to the store, I bought it, I needed shampoo, and lather, rinse, repeat. See? But when you like start to formulate these kind of products, much like you putting together not only your beard oil, but the trail tails and all the stuff that you have created from nothing.
Once you figure the process,
you go, wow, like you see something, you go, I could do that.
Right.
We're developing, much to the chagrin of my bearded brethren, a shaving line, with a shaving balm and an aftershave, one for men and one for women. Use your imagination. But and then a tattoo balm, and then, beard wash. And just because we got into this like mentality of, yep, we can do that. Like, that's not we can formulate something that is a quality product. We know we have our branding, we have the marketing aspect of it figured out. You just start to see things. And that is in all aspects of whether it's doing a podcast. If you listen to the podcast, you go, oh yeah, I see what he did there. Or you see something that's really crappy, or hear something that's really crappy, go, okay, don't do that.
Right.
Yep. let's avoid, creating content that way. Or you see something on social media, go, ooh, man.
Wouldn't have done it that way.
Would have gone a different direction there, buddy. Would have been a little more sensitive to the times. But there definitely is an overwhelming mindset. And when you talked about bandwidth, that's a constant struggle, because when you do have not only those thoughts going through your head, but you're already your list of things the standard things you need to do in your life, the things you need to do with work in your life,
the things you've prioritized as most important. Really.
And these new things come flying at you, and new opportunities present themselves, and you do have a go-getter mentality. You're like, yeah, I can do that. But the struggle is finding out, okay, where is the point, like you had with, your original beard oil and beard balm, is you go, I'm almost maxed.
Right.
And if I add this other project on, if I add this other element into what I'm already doing in my 24 hours in a day, and how do I maximize that? Well, sleep less and work more.
Right.
But if I'm at the point where I know I can get this many hours of sleep and be 100% functional, 110%. Cool. If I try to fit this other thing into my 18 hours a day, something's got to give, or all the other stuff that you've built in those hours of the day is going to lose. It's going to suffer. It's going to decrease in value. So
that's
finding
simple
that point,
math.
Yeah.
Or I can't give this 100%. Mm-hmm. Well, then to me, it's just not worth it.
Right.
Until you can. That doesn't necessarily mean, well, until I have the time to. No, until I figure out how I can give 100 or 110%, but not necessarily work it the same way.
Right.
It might just come off. It's almost a curse. I get Howard Hughes, why he locked himself in a room. You think about it.
Now it makes sense.
Right. Well, like even at the shop, like we'll walk through or we'll order some parts for something, and like it's almost standing around looking at it, figuring out if it's a problem or whatever. Well, if only we would have made it like we could make this, could make this like that, and it's almost like cover your ears, la 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 la. I don't want to hear that, because as soon as I go, I can do that.
Yeah. There's a way.
Right, and then it's like fuck.
Yep.
Switch is flipped, and then you're like, well, that I can do it, so now I have to, and then also it's the devil and the angel going, well, you don't have to. Not how I'm programmed.
Yeah.
So I guess, yep, honey, I'm gonna be late tonight.
Do you have a way? Have you figured out a way yet to? You did it with the beard line. Have you found a way when those ideas come in? Because I'm trying to, like I told you before we started recording this, I just went and got like 7 calendars.
Yep.
And some are for like, okay, there'll be one that has everything on it, and I know there's apps for it, and I know, but sometimes I feel a need to, we have a big calendar, the big, desktop calendar, and the day-to-day ones, and the month-to-month one, and one that's just like a day, and then notes. Have you found a way to harness when those ideas come up, when something flashes in your mind and you go, damn, yeah, trail tales that also can expunge smoke. So if the Mounties are chasing you and you're in Canada, you can get away. Because that's,
or a content idea for social, or this,
yeah,
or that.
I should do that. Hey, write that down. Do you utilize the notes app? Do you write things down? I mean, how do you make sure that those ideas, because that's what happens, is like the really good ones that you're like, damn, what was I thinking? That was a great idea, and I can't remember what it was. How do you make sure that those ideas either come to fruition, or at least have a placeholder somewhere that you're not going to forget them in the future?
I rely a lot on my team people that, well, all right. So yes, my notes on my phone is insane.
Yeah.
And that 3:50 to 4:30, or 4:15. It's really cold, so I can start my Jeep for at least 20 minutes before I leave. That's what it's for. Like I check my social stuff, I check my email, and then I go to my notes and then I flip through it, and then I kind of know if like I need to budget time in my day to sit at my desk and open my notes, because Apple, you're not paying me. You should be.
I agree.
But right, I have my iPhone, my desk Mac, my MacBook Air, everything's synced. I can pick up something anywhere. But I also know if I need my space behind my desk to sit there and say, all right, I need to consolidate these notes so A, they stay fresh in my brain, and B, I can kind of prioritize. And then I also use the Post-it feature for my desk for like the things that are really important. But it's a constant, all right, maybe I'm just going to act on this one thing. Or I'm going to say, Jamie, Tom, Adam, Dave, Riley, JT, Sam, Brennan, Luke, my dad, anybody that I run into during the day-to-day at the shop, hey, I need you for this, or like, what do you think about this? Let's talk about this. Is there something here? And then that goes to even like our corporate people that we work with in the marketing department at Advanced Auto Parts, using those people to say, because that is a whole nother group of creative ideas that come up with. But it's like, okay, if we just talk about it, it won't happen. Just before I left here, I was a little bit late because I was sitting down with Jamie, and I was like, hey, an idea popped into my head for social media engagement. Let's bring the analogy to you're sitting in a room full of people, and if you just were standing there holding a picture over your head, like what is Instagram, but without some way to talk about it, like you as the person holding the picture up need to be the conversation starter. So how do you start that conversation? Otherwise, you'll just get a bunch of head nods. And then that one really enthusiastic person that's like, fuck yeah, boy, I want everybody. I want to hear it from everybody.
Right.
So that whole like analogy popped into my head, and I'm talking to Jamie about that. And I'm like, all right, I got to go. And she's like, wait, is there a takeaway from this? Is there something that needs to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, this one's just an idea, but put it down and maybe we'll bring it up in another meeting with other people. Just so it can be talked about, right? And that's how I lean heavily on everybody involved, because it takes everybody to make all of these different things happening. The other thing was, and this was the calendar thing, same way, but my calendars were scribbles on the back of, envelopes and everything. Got to do this. And then it was just my brain. And then it was my email feed on all the things I had to do all day. But I like Apple calendars. The other people in my shop like Google stuff.
Right.
And then finally it was nope, you put all your shit on an Apple calendar and you share it with me. I have, I think, 10 calendars: home, work, life, meetings, events for other companies, brand ambassadorship, meetings, all of that. And I can look at any or all, and it's all there. And the team knows that if they need me for something, it needs to go in there. Otherwise, well, didn't you see that? Nope. No. And and that's that whole thing. Like, it has to be okay. I'm a people pleaser also. Like, I want to just be like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can get to use Google too. No, it's a hard stop on some of those things, but that's that figuring out that sometimes you just have to draw the line.
Yeah. Since 2008, that's when you dove in.
Yep.
Took the plunge, said, fuck you, corporate world.
Right.
Do this on my own. Do it better.
I was just a poor college kid working part-time, but hey.
Still, hey, Napa has their place.
Yep.
But in the marketing world, and obviously we are in a digital age of social media. We joke about the struggles that our children will never have to deal with in a comical way. Like, they'll never know what it's like to have to be kind and rewind and other crazy shit like that. Blockbuster, no, it's not a thing anymore.
Right.
But the fact that they're growing up in this age where they're super hyper engaged in social media, and we could have a whole podcast about parenting in 2020, and is the social media thing, is it good or bad for our kids at what age? And if you go into a mindset of, we've leaped in a decade faster than we ever have
yes.
in the history of mankind. where are we going to be in 5-10 years, and what are our kids like? I'm surprised they're still making my kid like write things down.
Right.
Mostly because I can't read what the fuck he writes. I'm like, dude, you're almost 10. Like, let's try to at least figure out how to write your name so I can read what it is. But, cursive is gone, and all these other things, typewriter has gone from typewriter to learning on a keyboard, and keyboards have gone into, what is it, how does a touch screen work, and, where will it be down the road? But as far as the marketing is something that lives on the socials. It lives in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snap, LinkedIn. I think is becoming a now more of a place. It is still a place for people in business to recruit and to post things about the success of their business. But now you can also follow people and follow brands on LinkedIn. It's becoming, as Gary Vaynerchuk said, it's becoming what Facebook was in its infancy.
Yep.
Which think less college kids communicating, but more businesses communicating. B2B is now becoming B2C, and a lot of content and a lot of ways to really get your brand out there and not have to face the pushback of what Facebook went through several years ago, Instagram went through last year with algorithms and what is getting seen and what isn't. But we're living in an age where it's great because as a small business, as a business owner, you're not having to fight with radio rates and TV rates and billboards and mailings and newspaper. They still make newspapers. I can't. It depends on the air date.
Right.
Maybe. I think they make one every Black Friday for all the sales because that's just tradition that won't go away.
Thanksgiving.
But you got to have the big old fat ass Thanksgiving paper. But marketing that's where people are living. We had a great theoretical conversation about reality, and reality is obviously the world we live in. How much is reality that when you're on social media, because you really are inside the minds of every brand that you follow and every person you follow, what they feel, what they think. It's not that way in real reality when you walk into a room or a store or a gathering of people. Nobody's just spouting off like their political thoughts. So some people are, or what they had for breakfast, or look what they made. Look what my kid did at school today. You get a real reality glimpse of what's going on in the world, skewed and or not, when you go on social media. But when you're marketing as a small business, the challenges that you face, the challenges that I face, is finding that I want to say the thing that pops, but kinda. The thing that takes your brand from something that, is known by 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 15,000 people to where it's like, okay, now this is something that people gravitate towards because they want to, digest your content. They want to, because you're putting up funny memes or because you're putting up things that they can learn something or random off the wall things that make them laugh. What challenges, from your perspective, do you see in not only marketing your business, but also having a marketing company that's doing marketing in this day and age of content creation? We're living analytics that's what buys and sells the world now is real hits, real data, real folks, real impressions. What struggles do you face kind of from a marketing platform on a day-to-day, week-to-week, year-to-year basis?
I mean, I see it like when you were saying earlier, you're like, well, it used to be TV, print, ad, and so you could just buy a slot and get your message out, but now you don't have to. So I see a big money savings ability or opportunity. Also, cheap, faster, good. Something's going to have to give. There's a balance to everything, right? So, content now is worth more than money because if you have good content, and that varies on your platform or yourself or your business, but if you have good content, good in quotes, you're going to engage with more people. But I think that it has to be thought about like deeper, right? So sure, it might be funny memes, but your funny memes are there to show maybe the levity of your brand, but also to be able to get people coming to your space so that when you do want to tell them something that is either exciting from a business standpoint or an opportunity for them as consumers, that they will listen, that they will see it. And so like the analytics, even some of the features, I don't like try to distance myself from them, but I kind of do because you can use analytics to like see what worked and what didn't work. I just look at the freaking post. And if the post looks like it did well, shit, all right, well, that's cool. And then we'll just try to do more like that. But I don't try to overthink it also because then you lose authenticity.
Right.
A lot of brands that come to me, small, I mean, and when I say brand, it could be a one-person, store owner. But when we're talking, oh, yeah, I was going to hire a company to do social, or even, oh, you do social media content management. Yep, sure. All right, well, could you do it for me? Nope. What do you mean? Well, man, that starts with you. Do you know, what's your vision? What do you mean? If you bumped into somebody at a supermarket and they happen to say, oh, hey, sorry for, spilling your apples. Let me help you pick them up. Oh, my name's John. What do you do for a living? What would you tell them so that they would want to know more or could potentially be a customer of yours?
Right.
And if whatever you tell them doesn't resonate, or biggest thing is relate with them, if it doesn't relate with them, they're probably not going to do business with you. Right. The other side of that is that's okay, because there's billions of people on social media. And so it isn't a numbers game. It's a quality game. Right. So if you're giving content that is authentically yours and is who you are as a brand or as a person, and again, goes back to you have to start that ball rolling. You have to be the one on social to talk about your brand. At some point, you will get to a point where you can explain that to maybe hire a marketing company or a marketing agency to say, all right, this is what I want people to think about when they see me or my brand. All right, cool.
Right.
And then we look at different ways to like let the consumers and the followers market for you. Like we were talking earlier, I'm going to be putting a post up either today or tomorrow on Instagram that is literally just a black screen that is says, we need more followers. We promise to give you great content and fun stories. So please tag your friend. We keep our promise. And sometimes it doesn't need to be any more creative than that, because that is a real statement coming from me to my viewers, that, because you know what? The hope is that followers are going to read that and be like, you know what? My buddy Todd, maybe he'd like this.
Yeah.
And then just share it with, you know what? Phil has put a lot of stuff in, and I do laugh at a lot of the stuff that they do on their brand.
Right.
Or I enjoy what they have to bring to the table. So I'll have Todd take a peek at it, because then you're getting quality people, and so the struggle is finding ways to engage in authentic ways, and that constantly changes. All of the algorithms. The beauty of Facebook and social media is that it's designed for the end user.
Right.
You could put tens of thousands of dollars into something, and if somebody scrolls past it too fast, they're never going to see it again.
Right.
Facebook's got that figured out, so you don't have to worry about all of the mechanics. You just need to focus on being real.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest struggle for a lot of people, because I feel like there's, well, sure, that's great and all, Phil, but like, where's the easy button? Nope, anything worth doing isn't easy.
And you'll have that forethought of consumer first, thinking like the consumer. What does that person who is taking in your content, when they see a meme they like, or they watch a video of you blowing shit up, or they see a picture of you motivating people to get their, what are you doing this week? If you think about, if you're posting it and you think about, here's how you are visioning this. I vision me posting this, and I want people to engage with it and leave a comment, leave a like. If you start thinking about the consumer taking that in, and they may like it, they may comment on it, but their thought is not, I'm going to share this with my friend. This this is a really good post. I'm going to share this with my friend. They're like, yeah, I'm going to go kick this week's ass, or I got a big meeting coming up. I'm going to put my 2 cents in, and I'm going to move on to the next thing.
Yep.
So because you're not asking them for. That's why I think the black screen, white boldface type font, putting something out there that is just like, hey, you fella who's liked my stuff, or fellette lady who's liked my content, or liked what we're doing, or laughed at something, or watches, Tuesdays with Max Built, tell your friend about it, because they don't think about when you put something out like, oh, I should tell my friend about this. When I put beard stuff out about like, hey, we got 20% off beard balms, or hey, here's a fun fact about beards that you probably didn't know. That person's not thinking, because it's so quick. They're moving on to the next thing. They're not thinking, even if they don't have a beard, I have a friend, Dylan, who's got a beard.
Right.
I should tag him in this so that he is aware of this deal or this product or this company. Would be funny, because the consumer doesn't think that way. They're not. They're not you. They're not trying to sell your product, entertain their followers. They are just like there to consume. That's why they're the consumer.
Exactly.
So when you start asking for things, especially when you've had some longevity and you've built rapport, and you're constantly putting out content, those who are engaged, as those numbers grow, whether it's a fast grow or it's kind of the organic, hey, we got 2 likes today, or we got 3 more people that follow us. They start, those numbers start to grow, and then they see it more often. And then when you do ask them for something, when you come at them with, hey, we got this thing, or hey, do you got a friend that's got a beard?
We're real people, and we need real help sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, and I think that people are so used to being bombarded with, major corporate ads that are thought of in meeting, in big meeting spaces, and people are going, well, what does the lighting look like here, and should we have it, should we vignette the picture so it's it's cropped on the edges, and what should the font type be, and where should we put it? Should it be on top or bottom, and where does our logo go, and how does it? They're so used to seeing those that it's almost, I don't want to say it doesn't register, but they just keep scrolling by it. It's just like, oh yeah, there's a Nike ad, or there's something from XYZ company that I follow because for whatever reason. When you start grabbing them with, oh, hey, yeah, like you put something up about, pulling Rubicons out since, my $15,000 Rubicon, which wasn't, it was much more than that, but, and it's still stock. Thanks, Phil. But, sorry, had to get that in there.
I got it.
But, you look at that, and I laughed, and I was like, hey, wait a minute, man. Like, okay, I'll like that.
Right.
When you have content like that is people gravitate towards, and they engage with it. That's the end game, because the consumer, however they perceive it, goes, hey, that was good. Hey, that made it worth my follow.
But not to cut you off, but like what you don't see, or what I think the consumer sees is, man, these guys are on point. Mm-hmm. They got it. They're, I would like to think that our followers are like, man, this is good stuff. Right. I love their stories. Like, what are they doing tomorrow? What's Tommy going to go check out? These guys have it figured out. They don't need any help.
Yeah.
So they don't think to necessarily share it with everybody. And like the contests and stuff, that's great. I want people to share my stuff because they want to, not because they're getting something. Don't get me wrong. We do contests. We do giveaways. That's part of it. But at the end of the day, like just a flat out like ask of lay it all on the table. Be transparent. That we don't have it all figured out, and there's always something more that we could use, but we need your help to do that. Hopefully that reach is more than just something that goes viral, and then all of a sudden, because you see it too, like hot chicks, big tits, and oh well, I'll like that because I'm a red-blooded American dude, and yep, I just like to see that come across the feed. Of course, they're going to have $200,000, $300,000, followers, because there's no. They're not asking for anything in return. They don't need to, because they worked really hard in the gym or whatever it is. But like here we are, and it's like we have a lifestyle that we want to be able to showcase. But if you don't find ways to have people tell people about it, and we've tried a lot of it. But that's what I think. Sometimes, again, keep it simple, and just flat out ask and see kind of where it goes. Yeah. So we'll see, man. Yeah. It might, and like I told you earlier, like if it works, great. If not, well, whatever. It was real.
Yeah, and we talk about end consumer, and their thought process is they do think that we have it figured out. They do think that we have, maybe not to the, the close knit ones, the P1s, the ones that are closest to our the family and friends, and the ones that come into your shop and get their oil change, or they come in and visit and they whatever. There can be an outside perception from those people that are 2 or 3 people out that you got a team doing this. You got, I'll put up something, and because of a really handy app, looks like it's professionally done.
Right.
It has a glossy picture, and, the tint's just right, and the brand is on there, the logo's on there.
The
consumer will think, well, that takes like somebody who's in the in digital
Photoshop
photos. They're doing all this creative stuff, so they must have somebody who's doing that. They obviously got it figured out.
Right.
They have the.
If you do it right, we said it early. If you do it right, they will notice the details if they stare at it longer. But if you do a good job, they're not going to know all the work that necessarily went into it, or that it's just one person.
Yeah. So they, are not reluctant to share it, but think like, wow, he's got it figured out. He's showing me pictures of his cases of beard oil that he's got. No, he's in this store, man, dude, that's awesome. You're doing great. And you're like, well,
right.
It'd be awesome if I was doing a little better,
right.
because it is a struggle, because there is, consistency to keep up and to be able to, sell product so that you can create more, so you can reinvest in your company and create more product and, develop more lines and do more cool things and be able to, I don't know, someday for me, hire somebody to do that shit, to be in that position, and to take my notes, because my handwriting is like my 9-year-old's. It's sometimes unlegible. I'm like, that was a really good idea. I wish I knew what exactly. I wish I knew what this idea was, or what that phone number is. That a 6?
Right.
I'm not sure. I should call that person. But there's so much that, from a small business perspective, when you are dealing in that social media world of marketing, that the thought is, here's my thought, and I'm putting it out there and hoping for a reaction. And if you start thinking consumer backwards, like, what do they want to see? What entertains them? Like, if you're in any particular business, you should have a semi-good idea of what your demographic is and what they're into. Obviously, if they're following your particular business, they're into off-roading, or they're into Jeeps, or they want to see your travels and all the shows that you go to, and Epic, and for me, if they're into beards, or they're into local business and things like that, okay, what do they want to see? What gravitates them? And sometimes, if you ask them, Elon Musk just did this. They're talking about the new solar panel roofs that they're creating. Tesla's creating these roofs that are basically, it's all solar panels. And he put out here's the test, and here's what we're doing, and here's how it looked like, and asked his 8 billion followers, whatever he's got, what do you think of him? Like, give me your thoughts. What are your, like, what should we change? What's cool? What's not? Like, he went out and asked for criticism, because there's one thing when you ask for criticism, or when you don't ask for it and you get it and you feel like you're being attacked, and you're like, wait, what? You don't like my stuff? You don't like the Caribbean cargo smells like, Cocoa Puffs? Like, what? No, like, dude, like, it took us 6 months to develop that fragrance, or it took us a year to come up with the trail tail and this.
Right.
Wait a minute. But if you reach out to your followers and you ask them, like, hey, what do you think about this? Or here's something that we're working on. What would make this most beneficial to you? And you get that as like constructive feedback. It's kind of a game changer.
No, absolutely.
Because now you're getting them to hand you their 2 cents. Like, man, here's what I think. I think this product works great for this, maybe not so well for this. Hey, I would have done it this, maybe this.
Or it's really great for this, but did you think about how great it could be in this space?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of positives that come out of it too. And again, you have to look at it as a positive. But I think too, like, you and I, like, our age, we also have a leg up, because at some point, our kids, generation coming up, like, the marketing they're going to see is social, right? Yeah. Like, that's what they're going to know.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to see marketing from before social, And like all I've ever seen what works on social is the same shit that worked before social. So, for example, comment cards at a restaurant. Like if they do a killer job, like you damn right I'm going to write down.
Right.
At that point, maybe it was an email, or I'm going to tell you your feedback. I'm going to tell you like they did a good job. Or when it was tell your friends about this, you did it if you cared about that brand. Like if that brand meant something to you, you were going to do something with that. And I feel like when people jump into the social space and they're like, I'm going to start marketing here, and I saw some big brand do like comment, share things, so like that's all I have to do, and then I got like 4 likes. What happened?
Wait a minute. I told him what to do. What happened?
You can't forget that like marketing is understanding like basic human, interaction and how it worked before social. What was it like? It was like we're saying, like you don't walk into a barbershop and go, hey, here's a cool picture, sell my shit. You walk in, you do that. I've said it before, but it's like it's the handshake, not the hard sell. You wander in and hey, nice space. Tell me about your business. Let me learn about it. It's the same thing like to a consumer. Hey guys, like I'm going to post some stuff that you might like. That's kind of fun. Like, do you relate to this? And then at the end of your sales call it out of the barbershop, you say, hey, I've got some product that might change your business,
right,
or at least add to it. What do you say? I mean, it's, hey guys, like I've given you some content that maybe did change your life, but like, let's tell more people about it.
Yeah.
And hey, barbershop, if you like this, make sure you tell more patrons about it. Or you know what? Maybe a quote or something that from one of your customers, we could just put on a little comment card at your display in front of the.
Yeah.
Those are the things that worked before social. They will work in social.
Yeah.
You just have to find a way to kind of tie the two together.
Yeah, and I think they've done a great job of putting a different coat of paint on it, but it's the same thing.
Yep.
It's the same customer feedback. From B2B, if you have a client that you're working with that is like, wow, you guys really like go to bat, or this product is awesome and it sells really well, and you can get, that may even be more important than the end consumer, because sometimes if you're on a grand scale like Amazon comments and stuff, it seems as we move forward into society, the more like sketchy those comments get, because you're like, how can one person think that this is the best tennis shoe in the history of tennis shoes?
Right.
And this person says, I put it on, it fell apart, it fucking sucks, don't ever buy from this brand again. You go, what happened here? Like, is this person sure they bought the right shoe? And like, then you also think like it takes exceptional work or really shitty work to force somebody to take the time to leave a comment. So if you're doing the exceptional work, they will go on and they will praise you for your efforts. And man, this is the best, beard product I've ever had, or this is horse shit. I hate it. It made all my hair fall out. Like it doesn't, by the way, just throw that out. It doesn't. But that's the extremes of it. Like when you go and take your kid through the drive-thru at McDonald's, you get what you expect. You get your 6-piece chicken nugget Happy Meal with the boy's toy and orange Fanta, and you're satisfied. Yeah, I got what I got. But I don't go to McDonald's and say,
I love it.
Thanks for doing.
Early on, maybe. And it's the same thing like with the like button, right? So that kudos to social people to like figure out different ways to make engagement make sense, because that like button now, it doesn't really differentiate. It's the status quo.
Right.
It's, well, you liked it, sure, but you also like McDonald's, but you're not like going to type about it.
Right.
So how do you find, and even like Amazon, like you can't base your like brand management off of like the 1%ers that have different resources. Sure, you strip it down to the base and it's very similar, but like you're saying, social can be a way, well, I think this is what you're saying, but like to bridge that gap between, if it is just what you expected, sometimes you have to shake it up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do something a little bit, either like, wow, a black picture with just white writing.
Wow.
That's not what I came to expect. Let me look at that closer.
Yeah.
Or do something crazy and epic and put a bunch of money into it and go the other way. That works to get exposure, but it doesn't necessarily mean it will get engagement.
Right.
You know, I've talked about, maybe I haven't in here, but we had a video that we put up, and it's been like a year and a half now, of a botched exhaust system that like overnight got 3 million like in interactions or whatever. Now it's at like 7.5 million views. And of course, like we watch it and we're like, well, that'd be great to do again. How do we do that again?
How do we have somebody wire up a exhaust system?
And if you try to recreate it, it's never the same. And so you just have to keep on doing, hey, you know what? That was awesome for the brand, and it was a great way to get some exposure, and we got some more followers out of it. Were those followers quality? I don't know. But again, I'd rather take quality over quantity if it's people that want to be a part of this brand culture that we've created. Because you think about like Instagram, I got 3,500 followers. We've got 15,000 on Facebook, and then our other brands have, close to similar. That's a lot of freaking people. Yeah. Like when you think about it, when you stop and you're like that, it might not be getting out to everybody every post that we make, but think about 15 years ago, a small town company. Nope. Yeah. Like that is a blessing. But in that entrepreneurial mindset, like we started this podcast, I want more. Yeah.
It's easy to get into. The price point is much easier to sustain than it was 15, 20, 30 years ago, because you did have to play with the big dogs. If you wanted to buy radio time,
right,
and you wanted to buy it during prime time, and again, you weren't getting that direct feedback. You were sending up the hope that the demographic you were going after at the time, they hope they were listening, got your message, but you needed to hit them like 7 times with it before they actually understood it, and you had to spend a shitload of money on it. It's easy to get into the game now. You know, there's no more gatekeeper. There's nobody saying, well, you need $10,000 in TV ads or radio ads or newspaper. You go, I want to start a brand. I can start a page for free. Well, an internet service, but go to Starbucks. They got free Wi-Fi.
Yeah. It's really freaking easy to do it.
It's easy. Yeah. It's easy to get in, but you gotta grow, you have to be a little more. Yeah. You really have to put.
But also, like we did a post, we grabbed onto the tail feathers of a Super Bowl ad. You know, Super Bowl, that's the time for marketing, right? The only time, and Gary Vee was talking about that. He's like, this is the only time when people sit down to watch TV. Yeah. And they watch it for the ads.
Yeah. Specifically for the commercials.
Yep. I mean, you hear that all the time. So in my brain, it's like, and I was talking to another buddy too, like, why are you doing a post about Cheetos? And he's like, well, I just saw the Facebook ads that came out, or the Super Bowl ads that came out, and Cheetos. I'm like, oh shit, I should do a post somehow that it involves Cheetos, because it's going viral because people are watching it. So now that's a way that I can capitalize on somebody else's marketing dollars, and tie in some of their fans. And you know, we got a bunch of followers out of the deal. And by a bunch, 40, 50, 60, but still, like, that was worth it. Yeah. And I didn't have to go break the bank or spend $1.5 million to try to get my name out to everybody. Granted, if I did that, there would be a lot more exposure. But if the content wasn't good, it might not have mattered. A bunch of people might have saw it, and I might just be broke.
You just be poor and have no followers. Right. And that's nothing is worse in this day and age.
Right.
Phil Norvold, Max Built Off-Road and Manufacturing, Legends Marketing, Epic Willys Adventure. Where can the folks find you on the socials? We'll drive them there. Go like them. Damn it.
Absolutely. Nope. Facebook, Instagram, of course, maxbuilt.com, and then at Max Built Off-Road on Instagram, at Epic Willys Adventure Instagram. You can use those same terms to search us on the Facebook as well.
Awesome. Thank you for the time, brother.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
I know we both got stuff to do.
Yep. We got to keep rolling.
Awesome.
Thanks.